Welcome to another edition of Closer to Home Small Business Spotlight. One of the first things that is going to be talked about when someone is considering a purchase is location. Where do we want to buy? Well, I figured we'd take a little bit of a different turn this week with the Small Business Spotlight, and I'm sitting here today with Mayor of Park Ridge, Marty Maloney, to talk a little bit about the community, his background, and really why Park Ridge should be on the list of communities to consider. So, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
So, you've been mayor, I think, since 2017, but you have, obviously, you've been here a long time previous to that. What's your background for the community as well as from a municipal government standpoint?
So, just in a nutshell, I'm one of four kids.
Okay.
I'm three of four, but I was the baby that forced my parents to move from.
You caused the move.
Yeah, from Rogers Park out to the suburbs, and they picked Park Ridge. So I've been out here pretty much since birth.
Okay.
And grew up here. Went to Franklin School, Lincoln Middle School. Well, it was Lincoln Junior High actually at the time.
Right.
And then graduated from Maine South, and then went away to University of Iowa, and then came back here when I was actually. Started dating my wife. We've been friends. I met my wife actually in 7th grade, but we were kind of friends in the same friend group for all that time. And then we started dating in college, and then came back, got married shortly after graduating from college. And then we're looking for a place to live. We debated going into the city, but we knew we wanted to have kids really quickly. So Park Ridge was where we settled. We ended up in an apartment over off of on Lincoln Avenue, just off of Toohey there. So
Okay.
yeah, and then raised. We have four kids. Our oldest is like 26 down to 19. Raised those four kids here. They kind of followed our track a little bit. They went to Roosevelt and Lincoln and Maine South, and
Okay.
now two of them are out of school, two of them are in school. But so that was kind of our path here. Got involved in all the things with the kids as they were growing up. In fact, that's what kind of sort of got me involved in local government. Was involved in soccer and t-ball
right.
and all that stuff. But ran for park board in 2003, just as kind of wanting to sort of contribute back to the community. And our kids were, high users of the Park District programs
Sure.
that we have here in town. So Park District seemed like a great fit. And it was. I always joke that serving on the park board was just a ton of fun and a little bit less stressful than the city, because at the end of the day, even if you're arguing about something or it gets pretty heated, you're still talking about
parks.
Yeah, parks and recreation, and they were. I'm a big fan of our park district then and now. They're a great asset to our community. But served a couple terms as a park board commissioner. And then the alderperson who was serving in the ward I live in, which is the 7th ward, was retiring. That was Frank Soul. And so I talked to a couple people who encouraged me to run for alderman. So I did that and served for one full term, and then was in the process of running for a second term when Mayor Schmidt passed away. Mayor Schmidt served before me. So I ended up finishing, make a long story short, state law is written that you have to have someone who is currently on council and term would go for as long as the mayor's term was to finish out his term. So it ended up that I ended up serving the end of Dave's term for a couple of years, and then ran for a full term and won, and then ran again. So I've got about a year left in my second full term.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a lot of history and a lot of community right there, which is terrific, because it's wonderful to have a resident, really a de facto hometown person here as well involved, and that's wonderful.
And it's funny because growing up in town, you as a kid, you think you want to get to when you get to the point where you can leave Park Ridge, that's all you want to do, right? You just because you're a kid, right? You're growing up and you want to get out of here. But for me and for my wife, we were, we knew we wanted to get married pretty quickly. So we were away at school, and we knew we were getting married quickly. We wanted to have kids pretty quickly. So where do we want to be? And looking around, Park Ridge has a lot of great characteristics and qualities for people that either have young kids or are consider, thinking they're going to have kids
Sure.
soon. So that was us.
And I guess that kind of leads into one of my next questions. If we're talking about people that are considering, where are they going to buy? I mean, we're right outside the city of Chicago. We're near an airport. We have a couple of train stops. We have the Blue Line. We have the tow. A lot of really good. What are the reasons? What do you hear either from community members or people you've talked to of why they come here, and what do you believe it has to offer that you can share?
So you touched on some huge reasons right there. Location, location,
Right.
and access to transportation, right? If you work downtown, you have a couple different ways to get there other than having to drive, right? You could take the Metro, you could take the Blue Line. We've got bus services that run through. There's great options there. And if you travel for work, and O'Hare is kind of a blessing and a curse, right? Like
Sure.
we deal with the airplane noise and all the downside of the airport, but the nice thing is, if you have a flight to catch, you can
You're right here.
You can be at the going through security 10 minutes after leaving your house theoretically. So
Right.
so that's a great thing. Other than that, and it's one of the things that I actually like to do when I meet people in the community for the first time and find out they have just moved to town or is find out why, because I'm always curious, and a big part of that, and I know that a lot of people know this, is we've got a great school system here in Park Ridge. Both public and private, but our public schools are a big draw, and that's what I find brings people to town. Certainly people who have younger age kids or considering having kids, that's a big draw for them is our schools. But I would not be fair if I didn't talk about parks. Our park district I talked about a little bit. I'm a big fan, and people love the fact that in most parts of town, you don't have to cross a busy street to get to a park. It's not
That's true.
all. There are areas of town where that's not the case, but I know the park district is continually striving to kind of address that in some of those areas. But for the most part, we've got parks in all of our neighborhoods,
Right.
which is a great thing. People I hear all the time about our tree-lined streets, our tree canopy here in Park Ridge is a big thing, and that canopy's taken a bit of a hit over the last couple of years because we've had the different
challenges, I know,
Yeah.
on the arborist side.
yeah.
With
But we continue to put work on that, and our reforestation budget is fairly significant every year. I know I've talked to people who actually moved to Park Ridge because they were taking the train from the city, and they pulled into the Uptown station, and he kind of looked over on Main Street and saw the lights and people out there having dinner, having a drink, and that was enough for them to put Park Ridge on their list.
I want that.
Yeah,
I want that.
Yeah. So people, and again, people like that. It's suburban living, but it's not an hour and a half from the city. You're fairly close. You can get to the city multiple ways and still take advantage of everything the city has to offer.
Well, and the uptown walkability over the last 10 or 15 years is greatly improved with, not only with properties, but with the businesses, and there is a little bit of that city feel here being right outside the city, and I hear that a lot as well. What about for businesses then? What do you say if people not only personally, hey, come take a look at us, but from a business standpoint? What do you hear? And
Yeah, I think, and it kind of ties, because we've got some nice business districts here in town. We've got the Uptown area, which is kind of where City Hall is, and the Pickwick, and our library. It's kind of
Right.
our hub. We also have South Park as a business district that, it's kind of I live kind of in the South Park area, so I'm pretty proud of South Park, and I think it's excuse me, it's got some great shops, and then even now the city's been trying to work to cultivate the north side of town, where it's a
little closer to where I am, as a matter of fact,
exactly.
over off
So
Northwest
we're
Highway.
kind of calling that North Park, which is it's a little awkward to say now because we're trying to sort of kind of give it that push, but I think
Sure.
in the end, I think it's going to be a great way to give some identity. So we'll have North Park, South Park, and Uptown. And I would say to businesses, and I think people that live in Park Ridge in our community have fierce loyalty to businesses and services that are here.
I agree.
And I think want to support businesses that are here. And frankly, we have a lot of members of the community who have opened businesses here. So I always tell people, it's not it's not just a business per se. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Right.
it's your friend, it's your neighbor, it's a person on the street, it's a person you see, shopping at Jewel or sitting across from you at church, or so those people are investing in a community, and I'm constantly humbled when we do like ribbon cuttings with the Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
when I get to meet the business owners, and I don't mean necessarily just like restaurants and our boutiques and things like that, but I mean all the way down to our insurance agents and
Yep.
our attorneys and financial planners, and really like it's humbling to meet people who are investing in our community, because it's what brings it all together. And I think there's I would say that to a business. We've got a great Chamber of Commerce that works tirelessly on the behalf of our businesses. And again, I just go back to, I think Park Ridge, more than, I'm the mayor, right? So I have to say it. But I think Park Ridge is different from other communities in how we support our businesses.
And I mean, I'd agree. I mean, I've been here 25 plus years now as well, but I mean, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, the way it's developed and the conversations about shopping local and local is good, and it's just, there is a support there, I think, within the community, even with a lot of the Chamber of Commerce events, that happen throughout as well. So,
Absolutely.
no, that's terrific. Any last things you want to put out there regarding Park Ridge or in general, or?
No, I would just say, if anybody's considering moving to Park Ridge, either personally in their residence or as a business, I would encourage you to do that investigation thoroughly. And if you're not thinking about Park Ridge, you absolutely should put that on your list, because we are a fantastic community full of great people with a devilishly handsome mayor.
Yes, that is what I hear. That's the word on the street.
That's right.
It's
That's
certainly
right.
there.
That's right. It's the word. It's the word on the street. I'm trying to put it out.
Well, maybe, hopefully this will jumpstart that
right.
even more.
That's
So
right.
we'll see what Lauren feels about that.
It's got to go viral, as they say.
As they say. So, well, thank you. I appreciate the time for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
So, as you said, if you have any additional questions about Park Ridge, certainly reach out to Marty here personally at City Hall. You can reach out to me as well. If you have questions about real estate, about buying or selling, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help. And just remember, when you work with Paul, you're closer to home.